Hello, this is Georgia Karagianni. I'm an English teacher and currently I'm serving as the head of the Department of Educational Affairs of the Directorate of Secondary Education of Karditsa. I'm going to talk about human rights awareness as part of educational institutional texts and contexts. Human rights education is education about human rights and for them. So, teaching about human rights involves teaching about the international legislation and, of course, teaching about cases where some of these rights are violated or abused. Teaching for human rights means teaching how to apply these rights and how to make sure that they are properly implemented. According to Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. So, human rights is something which is very important in a country's educational curriculum. The overall aim of this presentation is therefore to highlight the importance of human rights education and, of course, shed light to the degree of embedding its principles into the official curricula. The curricula that were chosen to be explored are for both primary and secondary education and are those of Greece and Canada, and specifically of the province of Ontario, because in Canada there is no national ministry of education and each province has its own ministry and of course has the right to design its own curriculum. As far as Greece is concerned, and mainly primary education, the analytical curriculum for primary education has of course undergone many changes. The most recent curriculum is the one that was voted in June 2020. It's the law 4692 and it has received many negative reactions on behalf of the school community. In this law, there is a considerable reduction in the teaching hours of subjects like music, arts, theatrical education, and social and civil education, subjects where the heart of human rights education lies. Human rights education is mainly approached through subjects as the ones mentioned before. The methodology which is involved in these subjects and in teaching human rights in education, in educational curricula, involves active learning strategies and of course it cultivates critical thinking, creativity and learning autonomy and at the same time cooperation and teamwork are promoted, enhancing solidarity and tolerance. Students are expected to approach and deal with cross-cultural topics. They're expected to cultivate empathy and embrace diversity. They're expected to erase feelings of xenophobia and racism, and of course develop the sense of personal responsibility in combination with notions such as social solidarity and social cohesion. These notions go hand in hand. Now turning to secondary education, the curriculum which is being outlined here is that of general secondary education, and it was also voted in June 2020 under the law 4692. These are two links where one can see the curriculum, one for the junior high school and the other one for senior high school. Human rights as a subject, let's say, is not taught separately, but it is embedded in the content, in the activities of subjects such as sociology and social and civil education. The objectives of these subjects are to cultivate and promote civil literacy, to develop critical thinking, to encourage active participation, to know about human rights, civil and political legislation, to study social matters and problems, to cultivate mutual understanding, to cultivate empathy, understanding, tolerance, and acceptance of diversity, and of course, develop what is called democratic ethos. Once more, the methodology employed in teaching these subjects is based on active learning strategies, of course, which include researching for information, exploring study cases, problem solving, etc. In Canada, things are rather different. Human rights education is integrated in subjects such as the arts, language, native languages, and social studies. Some of the topics which incorporate aspects of human rights education are healthy relationships, equity and inclusive education, citizenship education, and human rights are approached through the lens of social studies, with the addition of another important perspective, which is that of sustainable education. The methodology which is employed, according to the Ontario's Ministry of Education, encourages freedom of thought and speech, and it is based on open discussions, free exploration of topics, experimenting, simulation, role-playing, etc. The same educational philosophy underlies the curriculum for secondary schools in the province of Ontario, whereby human rights is also integrated mainly in subjects like arts and social studies and humanities. At the subject of social sciences and humanities, for example, there are chapters addressing issues like equity, diversity, and social justice, general family studies, world religions and belief traditions, subjects which mainly aim at helping students reach understanding of self and of others, and of course achieving local and global mindedness in the long run. In the field of methodology, active and cooperative strategies are widely employed. And here we have projects, we have panel discussions, think, pair, share techniques, and other techniques which boost students' critical thinking, communicative skills, self-regulation, and all these qualities that should be inherent in what is called global and active citizen. Concluding, what needs to be stressed and what emerges as a need is to boost the Greek curriculum with more hours in subjects like arts and social sciences, provide students with all the cognitive and mental tools they need in order to lead inclusive societies, create strong school communities, and of course help schools meet students' and society's needs, leaving conservatism and introversion behind. These are some of the references that were used in this presentation, and I would like to thank you very much for your attention.